Hey yo everyone, it's Pufuu here, and in today's video, I'll be going over what makes Splatoon's design so genius. Now, I'm touching on the topic of character design, not gameplay design. I couldn't for my life provide you any valuable information regarding competitive Splatoon, but I can explain why Splatoon is such a pretty looking game. I mean, I've spent at least a quarter of my existence editing fake Splatoon leaks, meaning I have to constantly bask in the presence of the Inklings and Octolings. I've seen it all. And of course, one of the most important aspects of any video game is its character design. And a lot of Splatoon's charm and success derives from the likeness of its Squid characters. So without further ado, let's get to it. I guess the first topic we should touch on would be the history of how we even got to the Inklings. It wasn't like Nintendo just pulled these designs out of thin air. They went through quite a long process with tons of major changes. Now, I'm sure you've already seen a bunch of videos covering the history already, so I'll only briefly go through it, but basically we started off as tofu blocks, squirting what I presume to be soy sauce, 2 rabbits for some reason, and then squid human hybrids, minus the human aspects, to finally actual squid human hybrids. As you can see, the final result looks great. Okay, so what makes it great then? Well, it comes down to 2 aspects, distinctiveness and simplicity. Okay, so if we compare Splatoon's character design to any other game, you can already clearly tell based on the silhouette alone which one is an Inkling. It's that easy, huh? Well, part of that comes down to how the artists were able to create distinct silhouettes that work in a number of situations. Sure, you can tell the first one was the orange Inkling girl, but what about the Inklings as a whole, minus their gear, or with other pieces of clothes? Well, Nintendo almost never overlooks small details like these. Except the time they left the Pufuu t-shirt in the game, on Tuesdays, Jalfonso. But anyways, with every decision that they make in the game's art direction has its reasons. Basically, an Inkling or Octoling is measured by the following anatomy rules. Their heads are a whole 1/3 chunk of their entire body mass. As a result, you get these comically large heads on a small, tiny body. But that odd decision in character anatomy is genius in design. Observe! Based on these various silhouettes, you'll notice that the ears stand out, but the underlying giveaway that defines an Inkling's look is its oddly slim limbs. Oh. Oh, and while we're on the topic of genius design, today's video sponsor is brought to you by BenQ, who also happens to have a geniusly designed light bar. Say goodbye to eye-straining light glares. This light bar features an asymmetrical optical design that shines light on your desk and not on your screen. Best part is that this light bar takes up less space than those boring old school lamps that aren't fresh in the slightest. This light bar is USB powered, has an automatic light sensor that can adjust to your surroundings, and features no blue light hazards. It's a win-win. Illuminate your space and play Splatoon like a pro. Clean up your gaming setup with BenQ's Screenbar Monitor Light today. Links in the description below. And a special thanks to BenQ for sending us this awesome light bar. Now back onto the video. But the underlying giveaway that defines an Inkling's look is its oddly slim limbs, paired with that massive head. Yeah, you know, Pearl's a great example of this. Even pieces of gear that obscure the ears won't take away from an Inkling's distinct body shape. They're so well designed that pairing your character to any piece of gear would still illustrate the initial Inkling design. Except any players using the fresh fish head. But aside from the humanoid form, an Inkling's squid form is just as important, if not better. When you think of a Splatoon, the first thing that comes to mind is most likely a silhouette of a squid. Let's compare other games in their main silhouettes. Zelda, it's the Triforce. Mario, it's a mushroom, and Animal Crossing is a leaf. But there's one thing that makes Splatoon stand out from the rest of these other games, and it's the fact that the silhouette is directly the character. Having an iconic symbol that appears in almost every instance while you play further solidifies the game's brand recognition. There's a whole other side of marketing I don't want to get into today, but just so you know, the characters tie heavily into the promotional aspect of Splatoon. Okay, so aside from just visuals, the Inklings actually do play a major role in gameplay cues and UI. Notice how in Squid form they're pointed at the top? Those are visual cues that indicate which direction your character is facing, or where an enemy may be going. Once again, this just proves how well designed Inklings are. So aside from being visually stylish, they're also designed to use a relatively low amount of polygons. Now, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the Inklings have about 4,000 vertices, or maybe less. It's visually apparent in their limbs. Check their fingers, for example, they're super blocky. But by designing the characters around the hardware limitations of the Wii U, Nintendo was able to get Splatoon running at a consistent 60 FPS, leading to smoother gameplay. Splatoon 2 bumped the count up, and it's even more noticeable in Splatoon 3. Kinda crazy that one looks visually better, but both run on the same system. Functional yet fashionable. Okay, so that's the whole distinctive side of Splatoon, but what about the simplicity? Yeah, okay, so Splatoon is a chaotic looking game that doesn't even remotely promote simplicity, especially the fashion taste in 3. No, seriously, what is that? Why is he wearing 3 shades? And what is this weird combo Stephanie's got going on? Regardless of contrary beliefs, I actually do enjoy the weird fashion the game's been leading into. It reminds me of my own closet. So the Inklings are visually simplistic when you eradicate their gear and stuff. Like, the only complex thing about the Inkling would be its hair, but that ties back into the distinctive nature of their design. Like, how many other characters do you see have tentacle hairs? None. And how many of them have furry tentacles with human feet? Only Splatoon. So you see what I'm trying to get at? There's more focus on the character's head, hair, and face rather than their bodies. The eye mask, the tentacles, and the fangs. Well, the good thing is that the devs totally knew what to prioritize when designing, so you get easy and distinct characters on the eyes. Except for Sheldon. That punk-ass motherfucking all-talk rat-a-tat-tat-tat looking minion. Bleh. I'm kidding. I love Sheldon. I love Sheldon so much, guys. I would never ever say anything bad about him. Anyways, well, now you know why Splatoon is so easily recognizable. It all comes down to character design. Hopefully you did learn a tip or two about designing characters yourself. Anyways, be sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video. I'd appreciate it a ton. Oh, and actually, I'm gonna be trying my best to upload videos on a weekly basis, so expect new vids to drop every Monday. And if you have any interesting topics you want me to cover in a future video, comment them below. Well, until next time, Pufuu, offline.